Hey y'all, so today I'm going to be doing another career kind of video. I got a lot of really great feedback on the past couple career CPA kind of videos, and I really appreciate y'all's feedback, and I especially appreciate some of y'all who have reached out to me and have trusted me with some of your career and educational kind of questions. It really humbles me that y'all see me as a mentor. I'm still pretty early on in my career. At the same time, I feel like I have had quite a bit of life and work experience, and I'm so glad that I can share that knowledge with y'all and be a mentor for some of y'all. That really means a lot to me, and I just hope that I can continue to help motivate some of y'all, help give some guidance while y'all are going through this journey yourself. I know it's definitely really important to find people who can give you advice or help guide you through whatever career path you're going through. I just wanted to say that it really humbles me, and I'm so grateful that some of y'all find me to be that person for you. So thank you so much for that, and I absolutely love that some of y'all have reached out to me, so definitely keep doing that. I'm definitely here for y'all. So I plan on doing a series as far as, you know, different types of accounting jobs or my experiences with accounting jobs. And I wanted to start off with the basics. So how to get a job right out of college. Now I'm just going to be sharing with y'all my own experiences, what I did to get myself a job with the Big Four when I was in college. Now my experience may be different than some of y'all's. Everyone's experiences are different, so just take what I say with a grain of salt. You know, obviously these are my experiences and my tips, so if any of y'all who have gone through the process or have a different career path in accounting, if you can share your insight in the comments section as well, just to facilitate a really good conversation about this, I would really appreciate that. Also, I want to say, you know, before I'm rambling, so I want to say that these tips that I'm going to give y'all today, these are really things that you can apply whether you're in the accounting field or not. You know, just take some of the tips that I give, make it more general for whatever situation it is that you are in, but these are just my experiences as far as getting an accounting job. So I'll go ahead and get started. So you really want to start thinking about looking for a job probably late sophomore, early junior. That's whenever, really when you're in your junior year, that's when accounting firms are looking for these people to intern for them. So, you know, keep that in your mind. So as you're going through your college career, something to keep in mind as well is that many companies, when they look at college students, obviously they know that those college students don't necessarily have a ton of relevant work experience. You know, you're going in as an entry-level person into the workforce. Something to think about is obviously you need to get good grades while you're in college. I would say that would be probably a 3.3, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe 3.5, definitely above a 3.0, especially if it's your major. You want to make sure you do really well in your major. So try to get A's and B's in that as much as you can. Getting good grades is really important, but as well, you need to have some kind of extracurricular activity to put onto your resume. So that would be you know, if you have a job outside of school, that's really good. Or if you're a part of a fraternity or a sorority, or if you're part of some kind of business organization or some kind of organization that's relevant to your major. People in accounting, my suggestions would be to join Beta Alpha Psi, an accounting fraternity, and that was what I was a part of when I was in school. So do Beta Alpha Psi or do Accounting Society. Do something where you're involved with other accounting students and where it exposes you to accounting professionals. Now at Beta Alpha Psi events, we would have different firms come in each semester. They would do a presentation, and then afterwards there'd be a networking event. And this is a great way for you to become exposed to other accounting professionals, people who will most likely end up interviewing you if you do campus interviews. So it's really important to be involved with some kind of organization at school. If you do join one of those organizations, I highly recommend that you try to be in some kind of leadership role. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the president of that organization. You could be the treasurer, secretary. For me, I was the director of public relations. Basically, I was the person who put together parties and events and stuff like that. So that was fun. But try to be in some kind of leadership role, especially for those of you who go to a university that's not the prime recruiting schools. So in this case, in Texas, many of the really good schools that the places that the Big Four especially recruit from is Texas A&M, UT, Austin, TCU, SMU. So those bigger schools. If you're someone who went to maybe a smaller school a smaller branch of the University of Texas like UT El Paso, UT Dallas, those kinds of things where it's not necessarily as heavily centered in recruiting, I would definitely suggest that you step up your game in that regard. You definitely want to set yourself apart and make those people at the accounting firms that you meet want you in their firm. Even from a smaller or lesser known college, definitely, that kind of puts more pressure on you to set yourself apart from other people. So definitely try to get to be in some kind of leadership role. It doesn't have to be the whole time you're in college. You do it for a semester or a year or whatever, that's fine. But especially if you're gunning for like a Big Four accounting firm, that would definitely be good. I talked about the networking events. Now, those are so important. Whenever I was interviewing, I was actually a sophomore and I started looking into it. And I actually ended up talking to someone who was from the Big Four accounting firm during one of those firm networking nights. And whatever, somehow we connected and he liked my personality, thought I would be a good fit for the firm. So even though I wasn't at a junior level, he still allowed me to interview with his firm. And that's actually the firm that I ended up working with afterwards. So those instances of you networking with someone, especially like in a more informal thing, like one of those Beta Alpha Psi meetings or firm night or a job fair or something like that, when you meet them like that and you can make an impression, you never know how many doors that can open up for you. So networking is so very important throughout your career, but even more so whenever you're trying to get a job right out of college. Have questions, for these. If you meet someone in that field, have questions for them. Whenever you end up asking a person a question, especially about themselves or their thoughts or something like that, that will more than likely open up a ton of stuff. They will be really receptive and open to talking to you about that. Things you can ask them is like, why did you choose this accounting firm? Why do you choose accounting? What do you like about your job? That kind of stuff. Like, ask those kind of questions and really be interested in learning about what that person has to say. Like, have genuine interest. You want to make sure that you have a good resume ready for whenever you do end up interviewing or submitting requests to interview with different firms or whatever. You want to have a good resume. So you want your resume to be concise. So if you have some work experience, whether you're a waitress or a hostess or a receptionist, an administrative assistant, whatever you're doing while you're in college, you want to make sure you still put that on your resume and that you include brief, concise descriptions of what you do. Another really important item for me, at least, was that I utilized as many campus resources as I could find and learn about. For me, at my university, there would be times when they would say, like, I guess the job career department or whatever, they would say, come to the library at this time, bring your resume, and we'll critique it for you. I was one of those people who would take advantage of that and go bring my resume, have someone else, someone who knows these kinds of things, critique your resume, give you some pointers. I think that's huge, especially if you've never done a resume before. That's really important to make sure that yours looks good and it's not going to be, gleaned over while people are looking through tons and tons of resumes. I would personally suggest to keep it at one page. I personally have never really had to use a cover letter. There's only been specific jobs where they specifically ask for a cover letter, and in that case then I'll make one. But otherwise, I really haven't used a cover letter more than just once before. So this is just for the accounting people out there. Normally in the fall, that's when the big recruiting season occurs. So they'll come to your school and they'll want to interview people. So you need to make sure that you know when these accounting firms are looking to interview people, and make sure that you submit your resume in time to be considered so that you can do an on-campus interview. My suggestion for that is to apply to as many accounting firms and companies as you possibly can. Like, literally, you got to hit the pavement. You got to put yourself out there. The more you put yourself out there, the more you will receive. And so continue to put, your resume out there. Try to get interviews with as many places as you possibly can. Not everyone's going to ask to interview you, but at least it gives you more of a probability to get an interview. If you're gunning for the Big Four, that's awesome, but you also don't want to just put all your eggs into that one basket and nothing comes of it. Don't turn your nose down at a mid-sized firm or a smaller local firm. You never know, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds. So in my case, whenever I was interviewing, I actually applied to every single accounting firm that came to the university. And out of that, I got 8 interviews, so 8 on-campus interviews. And I know it's kind of hectic and crazy and stuff like that, but you know what, that's what you got to do. So out of those 8 on-campus interviews, I got 4 office visits. And out of those 4 office visits, I got 2 internship opportunities. And out of that, I took, obviously, you can only do one. if they're in the same period of time. Out of that, I selected one of the firms. It was a Big Four firm, and then out of that I got a full-time offer after my internship. So the moral of that story is just put yourself out there as much as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is get a job right out of college. Alright, so we've talked about how to get yourself an interview, how to set yourself up to be successful, to be chosen by one of the accounting firms to interview. So now I'm just going to give y'all some tips on actually interviewing. And so you can apply this to these interviews, you can do them for other interviews that you have later in life. These are things like, these are tips that I was given and things I've learned over the years, and they've been quite successful, I feel. So okay, first of all, you want to make sure that you are prepared. Like, you need to make sure that you create kind of like a Rolodex in your mind, and some of the things that you want to think about is like, some very common interview questions are things like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? So you want to make sure you have an answer for that you're not like, I don't know. You want to make sure you have answers for that. And also, obviously, you've probably heard this before too, when you're talking about your weaknesses, you want to spin it so it sounds like a positive. You got what I'm saying? So you want to make sure you're prepared for that. So things like, strengths and weaknesses, they'll ask you, give me an example of you being a leader, or give me an example of how you handle stress. How do you balance things? How do you multitask? Give me examples. They really want to hear a lot of examples like that you can provide that you've already had. So make sure that you go through it before the interview. You already have these things in your mind. You can think of things like, I put together this event. I had all these, during finals, I had all these things going on, and I still had to work, and I did these things. I, would study at night. Get yourself prepared for the types of questions that you're going to get during your interview. So on your interview day, you want to make sure that you look professional. So this is not the time to push the envelope on the stuff that you can wear. Just get the job, and then you can start, really showing your style and all this other stuff. I guess if you want to be more of an individual or whatever. But when you're first going into the interview, wear like a nice, suit jacket and pants, or suit jacket and skirt, a dress with a suit jacket on top of it. Just look put together, have makeup that makes you look alive and good. Just really put your best foot forward. Make sure your hair looks good. Don't have any cowlicks or anything like that. Your clothes should not be wrinkled. Just really present yourself in the best light you possibly can. Now, while you're waiting for your interview, some things that are so crucial in my opinion. So number one, if you're waiting for your interview and you're in the reception area or whatever, don't be on your phone. Don't be checking your social medias or anything like that. Just wait, sit, and just, think about the interview and stuff like that. It's not that great to be on your phone. Make sure you turn your phone off or put it on silent, because you don't want it ringing or vibrating while you're in the interview. And then also, so important, is to be really kind, respectful, and nice to anyone you meet while you're waiting for your interview. So whether that's the receptionist, be really nice to them, genuinely nice to them. Whether it's the person who's supposed to lead you back to where the interview is, just be really cordial and friendly to everyone that you meet. You don't want to be rude to anyone or anything like that. So that definitely makes a big impression on people too. So you're in the interview, you've prepared yourself, you look good, you've been nice to everyone. So this is the time for you to really impress and go after that job that you're wanting to get. So make sure you have a good firm handshake. So if you need to practice that with like your loved ones, your friends or whatever, just make sure you give like a good firm handshake. You never want to be like that person who like shakes your hand, like grabs your fingers, or it's like a limp handshake. You just want it to be a nice, good, firm handshake. So definitely practice that. And during the interview, make sure that you maintain eye contact. It's so crucial to maintain eye contact with someone. Might be a little uncomfortable, but just do it, okay? And then finally, the interview is going to go however it goes. They're going to ask you the questions that they're going to ask you, give you some information on the job, that kind of thing. Make sure at the end of it, when they ask you, hey, do you have any questions, have some questions to ask them. Like that, I've heard so many times that people are like, I love that this person asked me these questions. So if you don't go over if it's not already gone over in the interview, you can ask things like, what are the expectations of someone coming in at this level? Or what would you expect of me as an intern? If you haven't asked them this before, you could ask them, why did you get into accounting? Why did you stay at this firm? Those kinds of questions. Or even if it's about the company, you could ask about the company if you've done your research, which you should. You should do research on the company that you're going to interview with. But just make sure that you ask a couple questions before the interview ends. And at the end of the interview, make sure you get that business card, and so that you get their contact information, and then send them like a thank you email. Some people say to write a handwritten note. I mean, I don't know. I've always sent emails. Send them an email at least within like 24 hours, if not sooner. Just tell them, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to interview with me. I really enjoy talking about this. Try to remember something in that particular interview so that it's not just like this generic kind of email. Something you could do as well is, like, once you get out, you could write on the back of their business card something that you remember from that interview, like they stayed at this firm because of the work-life balance, or because of the benefits, or because they feel like they're giving value to their clients. Whatever it is, just make sure that you put it on the back of that business card so you remember. Okay, so hopefully by the end of all of the interviewing, you will have had some kind of offer, whether it's an internship offer or a job offer. And so here are some tips on how to be successful if you do an accounting internship or an audit internship, tax, whatever it is, or if you're just starting out as an entry-level person. Here are some tips that I have to be successful and so that people will enjoy working with you. So number one, have a really great and positive attitude. So just know that everyone has started where you are. Everyone has had to be at the very bottom and move up. Obviously, since you're an entry-level person, you will not have as much experience or knowledge as the people who have done it for a year or more. So with that in mind, just know that, and know that as you progress in your career, you're going to learn more technical things. So in the very beginning, what's most important, in my opinion, is to have a great and positive attitude. The technical skills you can teach someone. You can't teach someone how to have a good attitude or a positive attitude. Whether you're doing something really technical or really relevant to audit, I guess, like if you're doing cash or cash confirmations or something like that, I mean, that's cool, but you more than likely will be asked to copy things, scan things, coffee runs, lunch runs, dinner runs, that kind of stuff. You're going to be asked to do some, more administrative things, and that's okay. Just have a really good attitude about it and do the best work as you possibly can, even if you get that kind of a task. So if you're in charge of dinner, really be excellent at that. Make sure that you get everyone's order. Make sure when you pick it up that you double check those orders and nothing's missed, that you don't miss someone's meal. Stuff like that. If you show pride and excellence in every single thing that you touch, whether it is technical or administrative, people will notice that, and that is the type of people that I personally want to work with. Someone who has a really good attitude, because you can teach them technical knowledge, and you'll actually want to work with that person. That's so crucial, especially when you are in a team environment, especially when you're in audit. Another thing is to ask as many questions as you possibly can. When you're starting off at first as an intern or as an entry-level staff person, clearly you're probably not going to know a whole lot. So that's totally fine to ask questions. I think it's huge to ask questions and to take notes so that you're not asking the same question twice. If you're constantly having to ask the same question over and over again, it becomes a little bit like, why is this person not listening to me in the first place? You know what I'm saying? So take notes, ask questions, and actively listen. So I would say just be patient. More responsibility and I guess more like hard things to work on. Be patient. These things come with time, and you are gonna learn these things. You're gonna learn more technical things. You're gonna learn more soft skills. You're gonna be exposed to more as you continue to progress in your career. So just take it all in. I think that's what an issue that a lot of people, even in myself, in many areas of my life, I compare myself to how someone else is doing, but you never know how that person got there, what experiences they have had, what things they've gone through. So just never try to compare yourself to someone else. You do the best you possibly can, and like I said, just have a really great attitude, a positive attitude, and you will be successful in whatever your career is. No one expects you to be like a bomb-ass auditor. If you do know a lot about accounting and you're really smart and stuff like that, that's an added bonus. But a lot of the times people want people who have really good attitudes and who is willing to learn and who can be taught. If you're someone who goes into it and you're like, oh, I know this stuff, I went to college, I already know this, I know what's going on, like no one's gonna want to work with you, and that's, it's not a good image. It's not a good way to be a person. You constantly want to learn, and there's always room for growth in whatever field that you're in, so just keep that in mind. Those are my tips. Hopefully it was helpful. I know I talk kind of fast and I'm trying to get in a lot of information. You know, I think I pretty much covered everything I had in my notes. So if there's anything else y'all want me to talk about on this particular subject, let me know in the comments below. I'll be doing more career videos. People have asked me and I want to address on video so that it's just like there for people to watch. I guess I could talk about the big four, the mid-sized firm industry. So if you have anything in particular you have questions on, leave them in the comments below as well. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have today. I'm sorry this was a really long video. I had a lot to talk to y'all about. Trying to cram it into just like one video, kind of hard because it's like there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. So anyways, I really hope that it was helpful. I hope that y'all learned something out of this video. I hope y'all have a great week and I'll talk to y'all in my next video.